As we discussed 2 days ago, with Bitcoin falling below its most important daily moving average, Bitcoin initiated a dump so big, so absolutely monumentally, ginormously, hugely big that even the biggest of moon boys ran with their tails between their legs straight into their mother's arms as news that Elon Musk and China's second largest real estate hotshot Evergrande experienced massive dumpulations unlike anything we've ever seen. Bitcoin now sits on the verge of complete and utter bustage, but is all hope lost for the moon boys? Or is this actually the last best chance to slurp up as many Bitcoins and crap coins before the inevitable bust? Right now the price of Bitcoin has experienced a dumpulation. And now the big question on a lot of people's minds is the dumpulation over? Or is this the beginning of an even bigger dumpulation? And as we discussed in the last video I made about 2 days ago, right before this dump happened, we were at 29,000 and I said, well, here we go. Looks like we're about to have a dump. As long as we hold, I said one thing, as long as we hold 23,000, this dump is fine. And currently we're about $3,000 away from that. But specifically, there are absolutely things to be updated now in these charts as a lot has changed. Finally, right? I personally don't, right now, this part of the cycle, I don't really care if we pump or dump, as long as we don't trade sideways. I can't handle any more sideways. So this is good. I actually like looking at this because it did something. That's all that matters to me. And I'm sure I've read many comments. Many of you also agree that at least we're doing something. Okay. And before we really get into the charts, I just want to also highlight the obvious fact, objectively looking at history. This is not the part of the cycle where we should be expecting the craziest, pumpiest price action. It's not. So this is absolutely at least basically the most interesting thing that could be happening, because anything that isn't sideways is interesting for this market. But yeah, if we take a look at one thing here, so we see the Bitcoin dominance for the very first time of this entire year actually break a downtrend. And as Mustache L Crypto Prof on Twitter points out, this 9-month downtrend or dominance uptrend has been broken, very similar to 2020, because what happened after that in 2020 is that it became more lucrative to hold altcoins. If you're invested in altcoins, which a lot of people that watch these videos are, a lot of people are invested, and this is exciting for the reason because, you know, maybe this is the ground floor for best opportunities of the cycle, or some of the best entries. I believe some of the best are already behind us over the past year. But to get into altcoins and then ride up over the next year, is this a very good opportunity finally for altcoins? Because altcoins have gotten punished as a whole this entire year, and also most of 2022 as well. So with this, if this trend now continues, this 9-month trend of being broken of the Bitcoin dominance, which also keep in mind, if Bitcoin dominance peaks at about 50% during this bear cycle, and that's the highest Bitcoin dominance goes, how do I put this? There's going to be a lot of money to be made in altcoins, and Bitcoin returns are diminishing. I mean, that's simply put, but that's also kind of obvious. That's exactly how the trend has been going for years. So with that being said, let's take a look at what exactly has happened with Bitcoin. So we talked about this. Bitcoin was right here, and we said, okay, this doesn't look great. We actually might experience a big dump, and look what happened. So one of the reasons for this is very simple. We broke above this 21-day moving average, and this last week, so we had the chance, okay, this could get bullish, but you saw it took 3 days and we slid below it, and it was like, well, okay, I guess the attempt failed. And then after we kind of understood that the attempt failed, it's almost like one of those scenarios where it's like, all right, well, watch out below. It was not able to really do anything, so get ready, we're probably just going to dump. And that's what I said in the last video. Here we are. We got dumped. Now, also, we have the news of like Elon, like he's like sold Bitcoin. Who cares? Also, Evergrande. And I remember making a video about Evergrande actually about 2 years ago. I believe it was back in September of 2021. So it's actually crazy. It took about 2 years for anything with that to really materialize. But Evergrande declaring bankruptcy. I mean, the real estate in China has been awful for a long time. And I think that's probably the beginning of something over there. But anyway, Bitcoin, yes, dump. We saw altcoins get dumped as well. This is really the big picture. Bitcoin here. This was one of the main arguments I made in my last video of why I thought we were going to see a dump, is because we were having another retest on this like 8 or 9 month support line, trend line. and it just didn't look good. Okay. Now, at this point, so far, we have held a higher low from the low back in June, middle of June 2023. But again, I'm just going to be honest, like I was in the last video. I don't see any evidence that this dump is over just yet. I personally think 23,000 is still a very distinct possibility for Bitcoin in the short term. So, like, not even necessarily something we might have to wait that long for. You can see here that support is right here around the 23,000 if we would pull all the way back there. It's not guaranteed. And in my opinion, zooming out, I think this is going to be one of the best opportunities to buy of this entire cycle left. Obviously, if you're looking at Bitcoin, this was the best time to buy. And then this time, and right all the way as we were getting dumped on. But I think this is one of those opportunities where people are going to look back in a couple of weeks and think, wow, I should have bought there. But with that being said, I don't think the dumping in the short term is necessarily over at all. I don't think we have a signal to say, hey, the dump is over, time to go back up. Have not seen that signal. Still looks like dumpiness in the short term. But with that being said as well, we look at the 15-day chart, this very key GBM, the Gigabust Momentum Indicator. We have actually come back down and found support there, so that's something interesting. But more importantly, the center line of this, once we flip this from a bear to bull cycle, or bearish to bullish trend, 23,269-ish, 23,200 is where the center line is, which is way more important for support historically and resistance, but support in this case since we're above it for Bitcoin. So again, there's more evidence for me showing 23,000 is a bigger level of support. We look at this chart, 23,600. This is the very key, basically bear market to bull market flip support and resistance level on the weekly chart that very accurately kind of shows the most critical levels of support and resistance to show where a cycle flips from either bullish to bearish or bearish to bullish. And yeah, we could still go lower. So I don't know how many ways to say the same thing. We could still get dumped on here. The DXY, so one thing, it is running into resistance exactly where we would expect it to, so that's good if you're interested in the DXY getting a rejection. We also are seeing the stock market, it's been in a downtrend for this entire month so far, for the past 3 weeks. So that's something we really have to keep in mind. The stock market's not really doing that well either. Today it's up a little bit at this very second, but that's not really substantial at all. We're also below the 200-day moving average now for Bitcoin, and we are below also the 200-week moving average, and the 50-week moving average is at 23,000. So when I look at these charts and I add them all up together and look to see like what all of them are showing, I think that if we come down to the $23,000 level, I wouldn't be surprised. And also, when I say that, that doesn't mean, I'm not saying we're going to come down to exactly 23,000 and the second we hit 23,000, we're going to shoot straight back up. No. What I mean by 23,000 is that is a very big weekly support level to close on. So say we get a flash crash even bigger. Let's say we go to 21, 22,000, and then within like an hour or two, we're back at 23, and then like a week goes by and we kind of slowly reclaim 23 and go up to like 24. That's more what I'm talking about. So ultimately, the big level to watch is to get, if we get down to 23, to hold that. Now, as I said in the last video, if we get down to 23 and it looks like there's no support there and things just look awful at 23,000, then I will be very bearish on the price action over the next few months. So we need to see how the price action develops. But right now, no cause for concern. Okay. Last video I made, I said 23. Here we are at 26. Why would I be panicking when we're still $3,000 above the level I said that it was going to go, right? So, but with that being said, as I keep repeating, I don't think the dump is over just yet. Now, with that, looking at the daily chart, however, seeing candles like this, which is a massive candle where we see a massive drop, 28,000 or 29,000 down to 23.6 on Bybit. But actually, I think Bybit went the lowest of any chart. Like, for example, actually, yeah, let's look at this real quick because that's not replicated on a lot of other charts. Yeah, it only went down to 25,000 on Coinbase. So again, it depends on which exchange you're looking at. On Bybit, I think it did crash the hardest. It went all the way down to 23,500. But anyway, looking at this chart here, these kind of massive dumps, but then immediately getting like 50 or 60% of it immediately bought back up and making it a giant wick is usually an indication that it is the bottom of that specific dump, meaning the dump might be over. But I'm just really not convinced. This isn't enough to convince me yet. Maybe it is for some people, and it very well could be the bottom, and we could be going up from here. But I want to wait for more time to go by and see how this price action develops, because one, there were some news events that brought the price down, and two, there was a dump in the charts anyway. It's the classic tale of like which came first, the dump or the news. It looks like it started dumping and then the news came out and maybe that made it go a little lower, but it looked like it was already going to dump anyway. Okay, so I mean, I think it was already going to dump in my opinion. And take advantage of massive sign up and deposit bonuses if you're interested in trading using my links below. If you sign up with Femex, if you click my link below and sign up to Femex, it takes 30 seconds. You can also earn free XPT when you trade anything using my link below. Without any further ado, that's free.